G'day traders, welcome to wrap up of Tuesday, November 15th. Started the day with a bit of an undecided bias. Looking at the dailies here, this is the current day, and I thought it has potential to go either way really. We kind of worked our way into a bit of an area here. You can see where it's pushing up, at the same time it's also pushing down. We're kind of pushing ourselves into a bit of a corner there. So no real specific direction which way the market wanted to go. All I really thought was if it wanted to, it's kind of got potential to push up to this 1270 area, or if it decide to go down, it can come back down to these lows around the 1230 kind of area. But it's a little bit undecided. Just one of those days where you just leave it up to the market to tell you what it wants to do. So we start out here. You can see up here this blue line, that's the gap line. So that's quite close. Now there's always going to be a bit of a magnet there, and the market pushed straight up to that. And then, like always, when we get around the gap, the market will kind of push off it or bounce around it, and it kind of makes up a mind of what it wants to do. So you can see here it started off, pushed off it, and then pulled right back, and started to head towards the gap again. So I was at this stage, it's going between power points, and because there's an undecided bias on the dailies, it's kind of hard to pick a direction and really see what the market want to do. It was showing no real signs of picking up any particular direction at this stage. So again, it bounced off, pushed up to that yesterday's close, then pulled back again. So then we start to come to this yesterday's close a third time. So it's either, at some stage it's got to make a decision, and it's either going to push up, or as you can see, it started to push down. So this particular here, when it bounced off this power point here, a lot of the other markets at this stage were starting to show signs to the downside. I know 3 out of the 4 markets were making lower lows at that particular stage, and also the predictors were crossing over on the 5 minute to the downside. So this particular power fade I thought was a good chance on the downside, as everything started to show signs of selling off, and it pushed through that quite easy, and all of a sudden picked up a direction and then pushed down to this power point here. And it got to that power point. From there it's done a complete turnaround. It's very hard to predict a turnaround like this, but from there the market's lost all its pressure and then started to push back to the upside. So this kind of period here is all through lunch, so it had quite an active lunch. So even though you can see the market pushing back up and going back through that gap, really hard to get on any of this, because all of a sudden it's changed its direction again. No actual decent pullbacks, and also because it's through lunch, it's very difficult to take trades through lunch. So kind of just had to watch the market push up without really being able to take any advantage of it. And then you can see there it's just continued to push high. It's got to this yellow and pushed straight through that. And actually hit it at one stage there, 7 power points in a row on the upside. So definitely a lot of pressure to the upside. So at this stage here, you've got to be thinking that, remember, on the dailies, I thought there was a chance we get up to around the 1270 mark. So, at this stage, when it's extended, you can't really just jump on. You need quite a decent pullback for it to reload and then get back on the upside. Or as far as selling, the market's gone up too far to be looking at trying to sell, because you're pretty much going against the trend. So around this area here, even though we've watched it come up, pretty much have to sit back and just sit on your hands and wait for a decent pullback, which never really came. You can see here the market just continued to push up without any pullbacks and just kind of giving us no real strong chances, and then continue to push up close to that 1270. We've got to 1260 at the end of the day, to where we stand now. Just bring up the 5 minute charts. Okay, so here we are on the 5 minute charts. There's 2 Pacific signals. This one here, so this was this first one, this was a buy. So this had I didn't mention this one on the 1 minute chart, but this had great opportunity. Pull back, started pushing back towards those highs. At this particular stage, before those sellers came in that I talked about, the market was still looking pretty much on the upside. You had the gap acting as a magnet. So the entry, it was actually a power fade entry too, so this one had very good potential. It pushed up 8 ticks and then pushed back. So if you had taken this particular trade, probably would have, best result you would have got was a break even, but wouldn't have got a loss or anything like that. So it showed good promise, that particular trade there. Then it sold off a bit and had a bit of a pullback. So it was this area here, just before this massive red candle here, that where there was a fade in this particular area to the downside, where I thought, you could see here all of a sudden everything's switching to the downside. The predictives turning down, the moving averages are turning down. Also, all the other markets are starting to turn down at this stage as well. So this particular area showed great value, and when you look at this at the 1 minute chart, around that 11:15 time, that was when that power fade to the downside that had good potential. Okay, then the markets continue to push down and turn around here, so we've got another signal here. see the moving average line is pointing down, even though this is technically a buy signal. You take this as a fade, so you look to sell. So the idea is the market's pull down, catch a bit of a pullback, and the market to continue to push down. That's how that particular trade would work. But in the end, you can see in hindsight the market's pushed straight through that particular price. So even though it was a sell, even if you're looking at it, you would have seen at the time that there was buyers all over the place. All the other markets are pushing up, and even if you tried to get on it, there's no red candles that came at this particular stage anyway. So no real chance to even get the sell there if you wanted to. In the end, it proved a good choice, because the buyers pushed through and would have stopped that particular area out anyway. And you can see what I talked about later on, the market then just continue to push up without any particular pullbacks, and from that point on through lunch and all through the afternoon, very difficult to get a trade. Maybe a couple of close bullet chances or something like that, but overall nothing really quality to take. And that's a wrap up.